Here we have the NVIDIA GTX 960, my main daily driver and overall great graphics card. This is the For the Win edition by EVGA. But this video isn't about this GPU at all. It's more about its older foreign grandpa, the NVIDIA Quadro 600. The GPU that came with the Dell Precision T1500 that I turned my gaming PC into. Now, I've stripped down my gaming PC here and took out the main GPU and instead put the little tiny Quadro in that you can barely see. That might help a little bit. But I was originally going to do this test at 1080p on this screen here, but then I realized it doesn't have HDMI, so we're stuck at 16 by 900. So after installing the correct drivers and getting the resolution out of 1024 by 768, we're up to a okay looking 16 by 900 as the new drivers for the card have been installed and it is sitting in the case nicely. Look at that thing though, compared to the CPU cooler. It's so small. It's so small. So I will get on with making the benchmarks. One quick note real quick is that I don't have a very solid way of doing the min, max, and average FPS, so I'm going to do my best to get the most accurate results. First up we have Minecraft. Now this card ran surprisingly well at the default resolution of this monitor, and the max, well, I only have one monitor that has DVI, and it is this monitor. And running at 6900, the card got a average of about 70 FPS, as you can see here. It was going up into the hundreds. Let's try to look somewhere else where the chunks haven't loaded. But it was going up into the hundreds, but that was before the map was really loaded in that much. So I couldn't get a nice estimate off that. But after letting the map load in and doing some of that, we got an average of about 70 FPS. The lowest it went down to, I think, was like 62, and the highest went up to, of like just doing this over and over, was 83. So yeah. Now, before I go on, I forgot to say that I'm overclocking this card too, to see how much of a performance boost we can get out of it and how good it actually is for gaming. So I may break a card here. And also, I'm going to be going back in Minecraft and showing the overclocking results as well. So, I was able to pump it up to 320. Then I decided to go to 350. And the screen froze. And the computer is unresponsive. So I'm going to restart and go from there. So, for the final overclock settings, I got it to 275 megahertz. On the clock offset and 20 on the memory offset, which I honestly hoped I would have been able to get the memory higher, because I feel like that's what's going to make the real big difference with this card, but who knows. So I'm going to hop back into Minecraft, check out that same area of the map, see the FPS, and then go into a different game. Now with the overclock applied, we see a substantial boost in Minecraft of up to an average of 103 FPS, a minimum of 73, and a maximum of 152. So this card can definitely pull its weight in lighter titles. Okay, next up we have the ever more popular Team Fortress 2, which honestly this card struggled in a bit more than I thought. It had a minimum FPS of 29, an average FPS of 47, and a maximum FPS of 55. So I'm going to go turn on the overclock settings and see how it does. TF2 was a very good improvement. It brought the minimum FPS up to 44, the average FPS up to 61, buttery smooth, and then the maximum FPS up to 79. So yeah, and then when you die, it even got up to 123. So that was Team Fortress 2. That was with the overclock settings applied. I'm going to do a couple more games. I'll see you in the next one. Next up, Counter-Strike Global Offensive. The card did okay at 16 by 900. With the game maxed out, it got an average FPS of 44, a minimum FPS of 39, and a max FPS of 70. So I'm going to apply the overclock settings and I will be back. With the overclock settings on, Counter-Strike ran surprisingly well. It only dipped down to 56 in the most graphically intensive moments. The average stayed at 67. Oh, that was an artifact. And the maximum it got up to was 87. So this game is easily playable if you don't mind not having 120 hertz monitor and you're just stuck with 60. This game is definitely playable on this card, and I'll move on to the next one. One of the most graphically intensive games I was prepared to try on this card was Just Cause 2. Running at max settings, I hit a maximum FPS of 17, well 18, 20 when I'm 22 when I 25 when I look at the sky. But while I look anywhere else, we get dips down into 13 FPS with an average of 15 FPS. Turning on the overclock brought the average and minimum FPS to 22 and the max to 23. Looking around though, it can dip down to 90. I just did this test looking in a straight direction because I started to get motion sickness if I looked anywhere else. I really wanted to get more out of this card in Just Cause 2, and I was able to by turning the resolution down to 720p and toning the settings down a little bit. I was able to get the minimum FPS for this card up to 46, the average to 50, and the maximum to 56. This is honestly, I would never have expected this from this kind of a card. So, definitely the way to go. I'm going to test one or two more games, I'll be back. Now, Rocket League did better than expected. I still didn't think it would have done too well, but the minimum FPS was at 27. The average FPS was 28, and the maximum FPS, and I would have called it the average FPS, was 30. So it never broke 30 at one point, and I'm gonna go put the overclock settings on, and I'll be right back. Turning the overclock settings on made this game very playable, with the minimum FPS at 42, the average FPS at 43, and the maximum FPS hitting 46, like it is now. This game is definitely playable at these frame rates, and if you turn the settings down up to anything other than max quality, I'm sure you'd be able to hit 60 just fine. I would never have guessed that a $35 GPU can run Star Wars Battlefront at low settings at 16:900, get a minimum FPS of 21, and a maximum FPS of 24 with an average of 23. It's honestly, it's not optimal whatsoever, but it's playable. I honestly could probably play a match like this. I'm gonna go turn on the overclock settings, and then after that turn on the resolution to 720p and see just how much FPS we can crank out of the sky. With the overclock applied, the card now takes dips down to 22, has a average FPS of 26, and has a maximum FPS of 29. Gonna turn on the resolution and see if we can hit that console FPS of 30. Never in my life would I expect that a $35 GPU that you can get on eBay can get 46 FPS in Star Wars Battlefront. It is absolutely disgusting to look at. Honestly, it's actually not that bad. It looks like you're trying to play it off of a DS screen. If you've ever seen one of those before, they're just disgusting. They're the lowest resolution. But now by turning, actually I'll just show the settings here. By turning the settings down to 720p, turning the resolution scale down to 80, putting everything on low and off, the minimum FPS has gone down and rarely dips down into the 30s. Most of the time it stays in the 40s. On average, I get 45 FPS. And then the max FPS that we get is looking at the sky with that 72. Actually, that's a new max. Before I was just running around and I was getting 50 something as my max. So yeah, pretty impressive. So that's gonna be that. I'll do a wrap up section here, and then that will be the video. So what can I really say to wrap this video up? The FPS and the performance was honestly, I had no idea that it would be that good. Before, when I had the card, I think it was just lack of me not updating drivers and not treating the card okay. Well, definitely I'm treating it okay now, pushing a AAA game on it. This card you can get for like 40 bucks on eBay. This card here is running Star Wars Battlefront at 40, 38, 39 FPS. It is doing a surprisingly well job, and I have to congratulate the card on that. It never went above 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Right now, running Battlefront, it's at 63. This card here is honestly more than I would have thought. If you are building a Steam machine to just play games on from your couch or something like that, that you're going to be doing Steam in-home streaming to, or you're going to be playing games at resolutions like 720p, I wouldn't honestly take this card to do anything higher, because it just can't, because of the 1 gig VRAM limit. If you're using this for like Steam in-home streaming or something like that, this card is a very good option for something like a Steam machine or a streaming machine. This card is a very good option. If you're looking to do something like that, I would definitely go ahead and pick one up. And just as a dedicated graphics card for your computer, if there's not one in there, and you don't want to go drop $100 on a used 960 or $150 on a RX 460, this is probably going to be the way you're going to want to go. Yeah, the games that you're going to play aren't going to look good. The resolution scale doesn't really affect the recording quality. I don't know why it doesn't. The game on the recording doesn't look as bad as it does in person. This game, it honestly doesn't look as bad as I thought it would, but it's still nowhere near having AAA. It doesn't look like AAA graphics. But if you want like updated game engines and stuff like that, then this is definitely what you're gonna want to do. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys want more like this in the future, please subscribe and comment and like. And I want to know, because this was really fun. This was one of the funnest videos I've done. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and peace out.